Almost 3 years ago, I began a research project in the archives focused on congregations across the southeastern U.S. and the Caribbean that either currently are predominantly African American or historically were predominantly African American. When I began that research, I thought maybe there would be a dozen congregations across the Southeast that would fit those criteria. I found that there were over 40. And what also surprised me was to learn how far back in history there have been African American Lutherans. And that's especially true in South Carolina. There were a large number of African American Lutherans in the antebellum period, beginning around the 1830s, I think, as I recall, many of whom were reached by Reverend John Bachman at St. John's in Charleston, South Carolina. At one time there were, I think, around 200 or more members who were African American and were members at St. John's. Many of them were freedmen. They were not slaves, but some were slaves. That was also true at St. Michael's Lutheran Church in the Dutch Fork area. Most of the African Americans there were enslaved people, many of whom are buried in the church cemetery there. Out of St. John's in Charleston, 3 African American people went on to become pastors. And that's a rather complicated history. One of them was a missionary to Liberia. Another one was, served or began a church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And then another one went on to become bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So that's a very significant history that not too many people know about. Our project we've entitled Unsung, a chronicle or history of Black Lutherans in the South. And we are producing a film documentary for, we hope, eventually each of the 6 synods in Region 9, or at least 5 of the 6 synods that would have congregations that meet the description I began with. We have pretty much completed the documentary on South Carolina. It should be available within a couple of months, so in the spring of 2025. And once it is finalized, it will be available on the website for the James R. Crumley Jr. Archives and will be available to the public for viewing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring.
We know that St. Michael had enslaved members of the congregation that were worshiping in our balcony.
Of liberty.
Bachman did not come out against slavery. He not only did not come out against it, he actually came out in favor of it.
High as the listening sky, let it resound, loud as a rolling sea.
I like to think of history as sort of our corporate memory. And so if we lose that memory, if we lose those stories, then we lose who we are.
I'm doing a project for the archives, doing some investigation into holdings in the archives that pertain to the history of predominantly African descent congregations.
A new day begun. Let us march on till victory